Hey guys, how are you? Jackson here from the Jackson Johnson podcast. I'm here with Mylinda Johnson, naturopath, which is also my mum. She's given me some huge input into how to create a happy and healthy life. Today we're going to be doing 10 top health tips, so I'm going to pass it on to Mylinda.
Hi guys, how's everyone today? Just going to keep it kind of a bit brief so we don't bore the living daylights out of you. So 10 top health tips. Jackson asked me this like just a couple of days ago, and there is only 10 majors in my life that I think are most important to everybody. Number 1, water. Of course, the essence to life. Rehydration, especially rehydration to the brain, is so important for concentration, to memory, for you to function in general. Your brain needs a huge amount of water, your body does. Men in general are around 60% water, and women are around that 50-55. We all vary, of course. And the most important thing is it helps us to break food and dissolve nutrients. So it breaks down food and dissolves nutrients. So that's number 1. Number 2, live foods. A big must that we have to remember that live foods are the biggest, most important thing in our life as well. Fresh sprouts, fresh food. Now, when I say fresh, the reason I always say fresh sprouts is they're still alive, they're still growing. So you know they're still alive and still got their live enzymes in there. When I say fresh fruit and vegetables, when you get them from your supermarket, they're not fresh anymore. So the amount of nutrients left in there is not many at all. So, with caution at the supermarkets of what you're buying, to how much live enzymes are living in there. But, your fresh greens and things like that. These live foods, I love the bodybuilders will love this. Live foods help you to break down protein, another must. What do you reckon about that, Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, we always go with what we can afford at times, but I think if you understand why we're paying extra for actual fresh fruits and vegetables and live foods and what benefits we get from them, we can find the money and we can find the value in that way. And it's been a huge thing for me dealing with, after a motorbike accident, having a lot of inflammation, L4 and L5 in my lower back, having a lot of inflammation, that when I come to mum's place and she's putting those extra efforts into live foods, food from the garden that we have here.
Fresh from the garden.
Yeah, fresh, self-sustained is the goal. I always feel better and I always leave feeling much better.
Okay, so number 3, thanks Jackson. Number 3, fiber. Very, very important. We tend to put so much emphasis in protein, carbohydrates, and fats, but we forget then to break that down. Like I was saying, live foods, your water, but your fiber. So remembering soluble and insoluble fibers. There's, the important between the two of them. Now, soluble slows down digestion to absorb nutrients out of the gut. So that's a big important. I say, look, I've got my tops on these lists of things and everybody's got their own little ones, but just so the average person out there, so I love oat bran. Oat bran is a soluble and insoluble fiber. So you've got the benefits of getting the both whacked in one, because I talk about sustainability, making it fast and efficient for our lifestyle.
And what's a common side of not enough fiber?
Bound up gut, not cleaning out your bowel properly, so you'll...
Constipation.
Well, that's it. And we talk about the stool chart.
Yeah.
The dreaded word stool, that it'll become small and it won't have that bulk in there and cleaning and scraping. So I'll get into the next one. So when it comes down to that, you've got your oat bran, your fruits. Avocado is a soluble fiber. And then when we come down to insoluble fiber, so now that ends up speeding up the bowel cleansing. So this is where it sweeps everything out in the bowel and has that effect on clearing everything out. So it's not staying in we don't want things living in the bowel for very long, staying there, because we accumulate bad bacteria. And with those fibers, great thing about having those fibers is they help build up those good bacteria. So we want to make sure that we've got those fibres right in our body. So insoluble fibres, once again, oat bran comes underneath that. Your seeds, skins on fruit, and vegetables, of course. Number 4, live cultures. Good old yogurt.
Yogurt, yeah. What about all these people like I've got a lot of vegan friends in the fitness industry and followers, and there's this cowspiracy or conspiracy that because yogurt is dairy, that it's the devil, and that if you're vegan, you're just 100% vegan and you can't have everything. And what I found is when we were growing up, we had yogurt and a lot of different types of dairy, but we weren't just tanking down milk. We weren't eating just shit dairy. So with yogurt, it's probably a better option of the dairy, isn't it? And there's a lot of things in yogurt. There's
definitely.
Proteins, there's digestive enzymes. What is a better version of a yogurt, and how do the listeners look out for yogurt that's a bit of a just giveaway, that's just sugar filled?
As soon as you look at the back and it says carbohydrates, get rid of that.
What
Especially
about,
anything over, your 6, 7, 8, 10, anything over 10, just do not take it.
We've got to remember that most people listening don't even know what a macronutrient chart is, like on the back of their food.
Oh, okay.
So what's some giveaway labeling?
Flavouring. As soon as it says strawberry or honey or banana or any kind of flavouring, you're guaranteed you're going to have 20-odd chemicals that make up those flavourings. So half the time they're not even a real strawberry in there, but it's sugar.
For me, it's more if I look at the labeling, it's really hard to tell. It is really hard to tell. So I try to look for the Greek yogurt, but a lot of them are branded Greek yogurt but aren't actually Greek yogurt. So for the listeners, the best thing to do is for them to learn how to turn the packet around, turn the container around, the tub around, and have a look at the chart on the back.
Yes, get your glasses on if you need them like me. Get to your squinty eyes and have a good look on the back. Read the ingredients. The most important thing that you want to pay for, if you're going to buy a yogurt, make sure it's got the live cultures in there. It has to read on the ingredients live cultures, and it should say something like Acidophilus bifidus or something like that, but make sure for the average person that it says live cultures. Stay away from any that's got flavouring, because it's just going to be high sugar intake, which you want to stay right away from. So to add on to those live cultures, I've got on the list for people like vegetarians and things like that, kimchi and fermented vegetables are a wonderful substitute. They have got all those live cultures in there, good bacteria, power packed with good good cultures in there and good bacteria. And kefir, which is another, you can get water kefir and you can get a milk kefir.
Coconut kefir, really?
Yeah, you can use a coconut kefir. You can fluctuate and play around with those. But once again, live cultures are really, really important in the diet. Now, I'm just going to add on that live cultures, good bacterias of prebiotic foods. So we're talking about probiotics here when we're talking live cultures. Just a little touch base on prebiotic foods. A lot of people forget prebiotics help grow those bacterias, and so does fibre. So that's why I put these two close by each other, fibre and good bacterias and good cultures and probiotics. You need a prebiotic, which comes down to artichoke. We've got onion and garlic, asparagus. So if you want to stay away from the onion and garlic, asparagus is a prebiotic, and chicory is a prebiotic. Chicory root is a prebiotic. I mean, not so easy for most people to get hold of. So on averages, stick with your nice easy, your garlic and onion, and you'll have your prebiotics help build up those probiotic foods. Okay, so next on the list is number 5. Eat your weeds and herbs. I mean, we've been eating our weeds and herbs since Jackson was really little. I started adding them into our eggs.
It's funny that you say that, because the new place that I'm living at, me and my mate have been putting spinach in the pan and then putting the eggs over the top. And really, it doesn't taste much difference. That we're getting the micronutrients in, and spinach is only a very mild version of what you can get if you actually have your own weeds and herbs. So when you say weeds and herbs, we can't go through all of them, but that's something they can get from a health food store. They can get it in a plant form, or you can get it in tablet form. So basically, let's just try to give an indication of where they can get weeds and herbs from.
Okay, so a lot of supermarkets, believe it or not, they're now starting to carry a lot of weeds and herbs. If you go to these mixed salad bags now, they're starting to put rocket in there. They're starting to put good old beet greens in there. There's all kinds of mixed greens starting to go into your mixed green salad bags. So that's a nice substitute. I always say to my clients, if you haven't got anything in the garden, go grab not just the lettuce, but grab the mixed greens, because they're going to have those extra nutrients put in there by having the mixed greens.
I literally tell the Subway people that I'll cut them if they give me lettuce. Like when I'm in the drive-through, they're like, just all the salad. I'm like, do not give me lettuce. I'll have baby spinach, like a lot of baby spinach, because it's the same as when I'm getting like food from anywhere, or someone gets a lettuce for a salad. It's a good start, but it's basically 90% water and just a massively farmed cheap herb, isn't it?
I bet you those people that were on that shift have made sure they're never on that shift again.
Yeah.
Okay, so coming back to those weeds and herbs, when it comes down to it, most herbs, so when we say herbs, like basic thyme, rosemary, you can get them in the shops now. You can get them at organic stores. You can even get, if you get really extreme, you can get them in pastes and things like that. But, they've got little bunches now sitting in little packets on the shelf. Now, around 90% of your herbs are anti-inflammatory. Now, the biggest health issues we have these days is inflammation. You're hearing it: gut inflammation, joint inflammation, brain inflammation. There's all kinds of inflammation. Just general swollen feet is inflammation. So to add some mixed herbs of any shape or form into your food is going to give you those small amounts of anti-inflammatory effects. But not only that, the bonus is they've got volatile oils. Those volatile oils will help persist against parasites and worms. So they help back them off a little bit. So along with your garlic and your onion, which a lot of parasites and worms don't like, you add in some of that rosemary, just basic rosemary and a bit of thyme or marjoram or mixed herbs in general, or some turmeric or ginger. Ginger is just beautiful. Those parasites and worms don't like living in those volatile oils. Meaning, for the average person, volatile oils are that strong smell that comes off those herbs when you first pick them or you first start chopping them up. A lot of bugs don't like those. So that's number 5, adding in those weeds and herbs. So number 6, supplements and nutrients. Now, I became a herbalist, being that I wanted to be more drawn towards plant sources of foods. The body recognizes them, it absorbs them more easily than most things. So I'm not against supplements and nutrients, but it is a needed thing still. It's something that you have to consider. I myself, for example, went for a blood test just a couple of weeks ago, because I knew there wasn't something quite right. And this is where the medical system is wonderful. We get these tests and we can find out what's going on. Now I got a blood test and I was slightly low in iron. So fair enough, I grow stinging nettle. Not average person wants to grow that in their backyard. But stinging nettle has a beautiful amount of iron in there. So I was able to slowly start adding that into my food. But for the average person that's buying things from the supermarket, we haven't got the nutrients in there in our foods on the shelf, because they're being shipped backwards and forwards from markets to trucks to refrigeration. Nutrients are then depleted. So when it comes down to it, there is a time and a place for supplementation and nutrients. Sometimes there is place for extra B vitamins and things like that. So the reason why I put that in there as number 6, just to remind people there is a time and a place for supplements and nutrients. Now, number 7, good old Jackson, you'll know this one: exercise. He never stops, this one.
Yeah. Well, since I could walk, I was the kid that would never stop. What you used to say when I was playing soccer, I played every position on the field. It hasn't really changed. I've just learnt that as I've got older, that you just can't live at 100% exercise, and there must be more value on the other tips that you have on here. So I think I've gone too far into just thinking that exercise is going to get me through, and now I'm more looking into
balance.
the other tips, the balance, the water, the food and nutrients, the herbs, and then your other tips towards the bottom about the mind and the body as well. So
don't give the secrets away, Jackson.
got to keep them listening.
So exercise, anything that's going to make your body move that you enjoy. Like, I love Zumba. I know that I've got to go to the gym, and I've got to keep, at my age, I've got to build muscle. That's important. So I go to the gym.
Guys, Mum's not joking about this. She's a crazy Zumba fan. She literally, I walk into the house when I visit, and she's got some Zumba music playing. That's South American Latin stuff, and she's dancing, and she's teaching me dances, and we've got some videos on my Instagram a while ago, and that's probably the most asked thing from people is, when's the next Zumba dance with Mum and son? So we'll have to do a funny video, but I got to practice mine. Mine's nowhere near as good as Mum's, but Mum runs the show when it comes to Zumba. She loves it, and I want to use that point to say she's found something that she enjoys. It's not a chore for her to go there, but I can tell you that when she did bodybuilding and when she was a fitness star, which if you're listening to this and you haven't listened to our first episode that we did together, I explained that Mum's not just a naturopath voodoo chick that's talking about health and well-being. She actually lived a life. She was a top placing bodybuilder in Queensland. She was a competitive person in taking like aerobic classes. She was, I'm talking, as lean as I've ever got and as strong as fit. And that's where I get my shoulders from. Mum has those genetic cool delt shoulders, and she hasn't lost them even close to what, you're 50?
Yeah, 53 now.
53. She's still got better shoulders than most guys that are at the gym. So she's not just talking the talk, she's walked it as well. So these tips are massive, and it's huge value for you guys.
Okay, so I always say, if you're going to sweat, smile while you do it. Have some fun, laugh. Like, we laugh through our classes. Look, at the gym, play something positive in your head. You know, if you haven't got a mate that you're working out with, you know, and then look, swim, go near water, go to the river, move, walk with a friend, do anything that's going to make you move and enjoy it at the same time. Because once again, my prime word is sustainability, keeping it up, doing it and enjoying it. Okay, number 8. Relax. Here we go from one extreme to the other.
I don't know how to do that.
Because that is important. We need to remind ourselves the body needs to down regulate. It needs to heal. It needs to actually come in tune with itself. And they talk about that mindfulness. How can you be mindful if you're running from one place to the other? So when I put this in, it's about being still enough to be able to hear your mind, still the soul, let everything heal and rejuvenate. You need that time. Now, number 9, live and laugh.
Before we go, sorry.
Oh, okay, yep.
Bump in.
I'm racing through.
I believe everyone's thinking right now, there was descriptions for the rest of the tips, and I see those descriptions all the time, but where's the descriptions for relax? And I think you're great. Over time, I've seen you master this better than I have. It's going to probably take time for me as well. Give me some tips. Like, let's be real. Like, maybe it might be that for you, I think using your garden as something that's not on the screen, because these days it's just absolute screens.
And clients, like, there'll be days where I'm just back to back talking with people, and I've got to be right in the zone and switched on to everything that's going on with their mind and their body to be able to help them. So I'm not switched on for myself at that time. So for me, I'll have a whole morning, and most mornings, even before I start work, I go outside, I ground myself and spend time to be still in my head. Now, for other people, they may need yoga, they may need some sort of meditation CD. Some people are happy to just, journal, sit out there and just start writing down what's in your mind, because once again, that's down regulating. That's like what they say we supposedly do with our dreams, is down regulate that mind. So it's some people, it might be just laying, if they've got their own pool, lay in the water and just breathe and lay and float. There's some beautiful techniques. Massage is a form. If you can switch off, you don't have one of these massage therapists yakking all the way through. But no, to put it more positive, it's about doing something that you enjoy once again that's going to be still.
So one thing that I think's a massive part of this is letting people know that don't feel guilty. This is my problem. I feel guilty if I sit down and watch a Netflix series or if I watch a movie. I'm always like, I could be doing more. I've got business to do. I've got to build the empire. I want to help the people. And I can't help the people if I'm
frazzled.
Dead inside. If my battery's burned out.
If you have fried yourself and you've pushed your past your limits. Now, one of the most important things I learned when I did hypnotherapy and NLP is a still mind, a quiet mind. A calmer mind is more intelligent. So the more you slow down and breathe and come in tune with yourself, the more you're able to connect with your mind and think about what you're going to say and what you're going to do with life. And the more you're in tune with what's going to flow in your life for you as well. And I think that's what's made me slow down a lot, is being in tune with what's right to do in my life and for people at the same time.
So my top tips, and I get asked this all the time because I have created the Mind and Body Transformation program. For people who don't want to do the full program, they want to understand how I've got through my attention deficit, that I've always been someone who has to always be doing something and busy, is I love audiobooks. I'm not a reader, so if anyone's listening to this and they're not a reader, then more audiobooks, more podcasts. And
I love them as well. I love them.
It can be sometimes, for me, I don't like listening to anything that's not real. Like what's the other
it's got to be positive, and it's got to be real, and there's got to be some sort of research behind it. But most important, I think, if you're going to put something in your mind, make sure it's enhancing you and helping you move forward. Mind you, getting back to what you originally said, Jackson, to sit down and watch a good comedy or something that's funny, that's interesting, just to switch off altogether is wonderful as well. So I'm not saying do TV all the time, but what you said, yes, wonderful. Probably every now and again.
TV's probably better than phone.
Yeah, definitely. Switch off from time to time. Let go. Let everything go. Let everything flow for a while.
There's a rule that I want to teach you guys, and you're going to take 3 deep breaths when everything is becoming over the top and you can't deal with it. Like you can feel yourself being anxious or the anxiety coming on. You take 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth, and you think of something that you could do right then that you would enjoy doing but is also productive. So for me, it's like putting on YouTube or a podcast, listening to Aubrey Marcus or Joe Rogan or Ben Greenfield, where I'm actually learning, but I'm in a flow state, and I'll go more into flow state, but I'm really excited to go into the next topic with Mum. Okay,
so live and laugh. Look, life is too short, way too short. Well, when we say, too short, if we're going to live to 90, we think that's a long time. But if you're going to be miserable, you might as well only live to about 50. But look, when it comes down to it, you want to live a long life, you want to laugh. But step outside your comfort zone. Step outside your box. We live so restricted. We get so easily conformed to routine and sticking to that. Now they're saying, I'm huge about the brain. You'll hear me talking about brain all the time. It's about enhancing our mind. When it comes down to, if we stick to the same routines and the same motto of everything that we do, we're not enhancing our mind. We're not creating new neural pathways, but not only that, we get stuck in set patterns. So I say step out of the box, do something different that you'll remember for the rest of your life, raise those endorphins, make yourself feel confident and boost yourself up. And along the way, laugh with friends and family, do some connection time. Like on the average, Jackson and I get together, we might talk some heavy business stuff together, but along the way, Jackson's always been wonderful at that. He always pulls me to the lighter side. I always say, it always makes me laugh. Always. But we make jokes in between, and we if something's getting too serious in a conversation, one of us will crack some wise ass
We're
remark.
literally just smart asses. So you're listening to the podcast now and you're like, God, these guys, they're, what a mum and son combo. They're just full fitness. They know, they understand, they're talking really professional. We are just straight out smart asses. Right before this podcast was turned on record, Mum's playing her Zumba music in the background, and we're having a conversation, like an argument, and she's like, we should play this in the background. I'm like, I don't know.
We might finish with it yet.
All right, we might sneak it in. Yeah, I'll get her to play at the end if you want. But yeah, we laugh, like constantly laugh. And it feels strange when I'm around She's trying to play it already. It feels strange when we're around other families or couples or other people really, and they go through a while without having a laugh or being a smartass, so to speak. And I think it's good banter. So that's something that you can always find. And it's just been from growing up like that. And you can always adopt these things, listen to comedy or just have that, think of the lighter side of everything.
You got to remind yourself the serious brain cannot function structurally thinking, lateral thinking is what I always say. But you lose creativity. As soon as you get really serious, you lose creativity. You lose that structure to think differently and to think outside of the box for yourself. So laugh. It helps boost the immune system. It's been scientifically proven. Enjoy life, guys. So 10.
Burns more calories.
It does too, actually. It really does, because it amps up the genetic coding. Because number 10, most important, think positive. Now, if you're stuck into some negative programming, which is I was many, many, many years ago, I came from, some pretty hard stuff from childhood. And so when it comes down to it, I had some pretty negative programming, but I have shifted that. It is possible. I was, Jackson was mentioning some names earlier. The one I love is Bruce Lipton. He has just changed the way I thought from clinical thinking, coming from that naturopath thinking and herbalist thinking, structured, everything scientific. You listen to Bruce Lipton, he talks about, he's a geneticist, and he talks about that he used to teach biology and the genetic coding. If you have these genes, you're going to get cancer or you're going to die of diabetes. Well, now he's talking about energy and how you can shift that by just positive thinking. Now his words, and this is him coming from the scientific background, he says hypnotherapy is a great way to change that. Listening to things over and over and over again. Let's not listen to some of the rubbish that goes on in your head. And look, I've got some crazy shit that goes on in my head sometimes. So when that gets a bit carried away,
it's just that I talk about it on my Instagram. It's just the demons. I know that. I know that.
Like that word.
I know you don't like that word, but I like to fight.
That's bloody negative.
Yeah, but I like to just be upfront, and people just ignore it. And I always say when the demons or when those thoughts are coming in, you got to slay the demons. You got to bring in positive thoughts, and it's like
bring in the angels.
It's like a Dragon Ball Z episode where you got to beat Frieza or whatever his name is, Frieza. Another thing is a big tip there with positive thinking is think about the outsourcing things in your environment that is going to affect you. So we pretty much made a rule a long time ago, and it comes from Mum, and I think I've put it into my life now. Well, I have put it into my life, but I think I've got it from her. It's no TV on while we're having dinner as a family.
Must.
Even if that family only means like 2, 3, 4 people at best. Sometimes it's just me and Mum here, and we'll be eating.
But we'll banter while we're eating.
Yeah, we just have a chat and connect. And I know that's hard when you're like a teenager growing up, and I found it hard too. But one thing we always made sure that we spoke at the dinner table and we were there being present. So it's as well as that, I would agree that I'm not a big fan of watching the news. If something's happening in the world, there's not much we can do to control it. I don't even vote. If I have to vote, it'll be dummy vote, because really the power is not in us. Also looking at crap you don't need to on social media, negative stuff. If you're following people that seem to be a little bit negative, just because it's drama.
It's the drama.
Yeah, just because you think it's interesting doesn't mean it's going to be good for your life. If you keep watching drama or you keep liking drama, you'll then attract drama and you become a dramatic person. So cut out the TV, cut out the bullshit, the radio, and put some audios on. One that I really like is a audio on YouTube and Spotify called Your World Within. I listen to that nearly every day that I do hill sprints, and it just converts me for the whole day into a really powerful, supportive and positive person for my clients.
So I'll add to that, Jackson. Another important thing is really watch the music you listen to. I treat some teenagers and some younger ones, and mind you, still people getting into their 30s and 40s. And when
you say treat, like through naturopath clinic, you have your own naturopath clinic, and teenagers
do hypnotherapy and NLP with people. So I do a lot of brain reprogramming and changing. Now this is them wanting to be reprogrammed, not my kind of what I want to put in their head. It's about what they want. Now if they want change, and I always say, is what you're doing now working for you? And they go, no. And I go, okay, so we've got to change some things. What kind of music do you listen to? You know, if you're going to listen to, now I've got nothing against anybody's music. So just first thing that pops into my head, you know, Achy Breaky Heart, or, you know, Womanize, or all these kinds of things are negative wording. So be really careful with what you're listening to. I love to listen to all positive music. We're reprogramming by listening to that beat. It's scientifically shown the heart will actually go into beat with music. So when you want to go out and you want to go do something, I do it. I go down the coast and I'm going to meet up with Jackson or meet up with some friends, blast the music, sing on the way, heart starts coming up, the adrenaline starts coming up. If I want to calm down before I go to sleep, I listen to some nice meditation, binaural beats. They're the things that help, you know, bring the heart rate down and start to down regulate the mind and the body. So my big ending is positive thinking. You will not attain good health, mind and or body, without thinking positive and thinking nice thoughts for the day. So that, once again, how that helps health in your body, it actually switches on, once again, those good hormones to burn fat, to boost your immune system, to help your gut health. While you're stressed out, your gut shuts down. So positive thinking amps that along.
Big thank you to everyone listening. If you have taken some value from this and you know someone that would enjoy listening to it, be sure to share it. It would mean the world to me and Mum as well. And I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you for the next episode. Here we go. Here's the song Mum wanted to play.
Oh, it's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful life. All right.
Thanks, guys.